Hockey is the best game in the world, and I know there are so many people out there who are trying to get into it and trying to learn, and some of the rules can be a little confusing. So welcome to Hockey 101. In this video, we are going to go over all the rules of the game, from the very basics to a few more complicated concepts. But before we do it, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, share it, like it, hit the notifications, and let's keep building this awesome community of hockey fans. Now let's start from the very beginning. How is a hockey game broken up? Just like this. One game is 3 periods, and each period is 20 minutes. Now the clock is not continuous. There are stoppages, and there are times when the clock is not running, but the total game time on the clock is 20 minutes. Now this is just for regulation. We'll get into overtime a little bit later in the video, but for now, super basic, one game, 3 periods, 20 minutes each. There you go. And now let's get into who is actually on the ice at any given time. For even strength, which means there are no penalties, and again, stick around, we'll get to penalties later, but just baseline, even strength, there are 6 people for each team on the ice at a time. And it's really easy to remember, 3, 2, 1. 3 forwards, 2 defenders, 1 goalie. Now the forwards are going to be the 3 players who are at the front, and their main objective is offense. They are there to go, try to score, take the puck down the ice, try to generate and get offense. The defensemen are there just for what it sounds like they are. They're there for defense. They stay back. Now they can be involved in the offense for sure, but their primary job is to defend their end of the ice. And the goalie, they're the one who stands in the net and tries to stop the puck. Very simple. 3, 2, 1. That's how you remember who is on the ice at even strength. Now, a really big part of hockey are the penalties, and penalties in hockey are broken down by time. Now, they break down like this. 2 minutes is what's known as a minor. This is your most common and most uninfluential penalties. These are your stick penalties, your interference penalties, things like that are definitely against the rules, but not super serious. So in that case, the team who took the penalty would be down 5 players on 4. So the player who committed the infraction would go to the penalty box for 2 minutes. Next, we have 5-minute penalties, and those are what are known as majors. So this is fighting, these are illegal hits to the head, these are boarding penalties. These are the ones that are a little bit more serious. And 5-minute majors are less common, but definitely more influential to the game. And just like the 2-minute penalties, all that means is whoever committed the infraction is sent to the penalty box for 5 minutes instead of 2. And then we have 10-minute misconducts. Now these are a little bit weird. This is super uncommon, and it happens usually when fights happen, but it's where the player just has to kind of sit out for 10 minutes. There's not a change in the power on the ice, so it stays even strength. The player just has to sit out for 10 minutes. So it's not like one team is gonna have a 5-on-4 for 10 minutes. That's not how that works. It's a weird thing, it doesn't happen very often, but essentially it's a 10-minute timeout. And then you have game misconducts. And this is where the offense is so serious that the player is thrown out of the game. A lot of times this will happen with hits to the head. That's kind of where you see it the most. But yeah, penalties. They're a really big part of the game, and they can swing the momentum of a game so easily because of the advantage you get when you're on the power play. Speaking of, let's talk about that. So let's talk about power plays, because they're actually different depending on whether it's a 2-minute, a 5-minute, a 10, or a game. So on a 2-minute power play, if the team who has the power play scores, the power play ends. So even though the power play is 2 minutes long, let's say the team scores 30 seconds into their power play, that ends it. You go back to 5-on-5 and you just continue from there. So the flip side of that is the 5-minute power play, the major. Those are continuous. A team can score as many times as they want on a 5-minute major. Those do not end with a goal from the team with the power play like the 2-minute minor does. That can get a little bit confusing, but it's basically just another way that the 5-minute major is far more influential and punitive to the team who takes the penalty. So easy way to remember that: 2 minutes, goal ends it. 5 minutes, you get the full 5 minutes no matter what. Now, like I talked about with the 10-minute misconduct, that doesn't change any of the power, so there's no goal, no goal situation there. That player just has to sit out for 10 minutes. And a game misconduct is kind of the same way. Most of the time, you'll see a 5-minute major attached to a game misconduct. So if a player does something wrong enough to get kicked out of the game, they will usually also be assessed a 5-minute major, which again is continuous. So power plays can get a little bit confusing, but don't worry about it. 2 minutes, goal ends it, 5 minutes, continuous. So let's talk about the 2 most common stoppages in hockey. Now, these are events that happen in the game that are not a penalty, but they still stop the game. One of them is offside. So what that means, it can be a little complicated, but trust me, it's easy. It's basically just if an attacking player enters the offensive zone before the puck. So if a skater is in the attacking zone, but the puck is still not in the attacking zone, that is offside. It's essentially a rule to prevent cherry picking, to prevent teams from just having one person hang back and just sit there and, wait for the puck to come. So easy. If an offensive player is in the zone before the puck, the play stops, but it is not a penalty. All it results in is a face-off to restart the game. The next one is icing. So icing is when you send the puck past 2 lines. So you have the red line, which is center ice, and then you have the attacking line, which is the blue line. If the puck goes from the team's end of the red line past all the way down to the goal line of the opposing team, that is icing. And again, that is not a penalty. It's just a stoppage of play. But there's a little wrinkle for icing. Icing is a little bit more consequential than offside because the team who commits the icing infraction cannot change players. They have to keep the same 5 people on the ice through the next face-off. The advantage there is that the team who does not commit the icing infraction, 1, gets the face-off in their attacking zone, and 2, can change their players to create better matchups, to get fresh skaters on the ice, while the other team cannot. So that's a little wrinkle in icing that makes it a little bit more impactful than offsides is, because in offsides you can kind of do whatever you want. You just start over with the face-off, and icing has a little bit more weight to it. Let's go ahead and let's talk about overtime. Now, for this explanation, I'm just going to go with the NHL rules because some leagues have different rules, some levels have different rules. But just for the basic explanation of what overtime is and how it works in hockey, I'm going to use the NHL rules because they're all at least fairly similar. So in the NHL, if the 3rd period ends and the score is tied, they will go to a 5-minute session of 3-on-3. Now remember, we talked about how just baseline, the 3-2-1 system, right? Where there's 5 skaters and 1 goalie. This system in overtime turns it to 3 skaters on each side and 1 goalie. So the total players on the ice for each team goes from 6 to 4. This is a way to increase speed, encourage scoring. It's a great thing. I actually really like 3-on-3. So that's a 5-minute session. Now, if that 5-minute session ends, it goes to a shootout, which is just breakaway competition, basically. So 1 skater versus the goalie, they come down, they try to score. Now, this is for the regular season. In the postseason, in the playoffs, overtime is actually more simple because it's just like any other period. They play 5-on-5, 20 minutes, and whoever scores first wins. There's no gimmicks, there's no anything. It's just like essentially a 4th period when it comes to the playoffs. But regular season, 3-on-3 for 5 minutes, and then if it's still tied, it's a shootout. Playoffs, continuous 5-on-5 until somebody scores that first goal. So that is it. That's the basic rules of hockey. It's a goal scoring competition on ice. That's essentially what you need to know. Let me know in the comments if you want me to get a little more in depth on maybe like the kinds of penalties and what each one means, or any sort of like more detailed minutia of these rules. But I just wanted to get out a general video about sort of the bare bones, the basics. go ahead, like this video, comment, subscribe, join this community. Our only rule here is to be kind. We talk about hockey with no gatekeeping, no judgment, and just a whole bunch of friendliness. If that's something that interests you, do all these things, share it to somebody who might be interested in this, and I will see you in the next video.